Sunday, March 3rd, 2024. Welcome to LCJ Live. I am Lights Camera Jackson. Happy Sunday. The week before the Oscars. It's finally almost here. Wow. We're 1 week away, and it's also Kung Fu Panda 4 week. That's why I got my shirt. That's why I got Master Shifu Pez. I have seen Kung Fu Panda 4. I interviewed the directors and the producer of the movie. That episode of the LCJ Q&A podcast and that animationscoop.com Q&A will be available tomorrow. Check out lcj.podbean.com as well as animationscoop.com for that. A great conversation with them about the new characters, Jack Black, the visuals, the anticipation, what fans of the franchise can expect from Kung Fu Panda 4, all of that coming at you tomorrow. The review embargo for the movie lifts on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, reviews will be out, but no embargo on feature coverage. So that's why it will be tomorrow. I like this shirt. It's from Kung Fu Panda 2, which came out in 2011. Of course, we had the 2008 original, which made something like $660 million worldwide. The second one basically did the same amount of money as the first one. Third one, a little less, in January 2016, still over $500 million. So why not make a Kung Fu Panda 4? A little over 8 years after the last one. We've had holiday specials. We've had a couple of series, including a recent one on Netflix with Jack Black, and now Kung Fu Panda 4. So that is the big movie for this week. But the big movie right now, your number one movie in America, is Dune Part 2. And I've been saying for I don't know how long, Warner Brothers wants this opening weekend to be double of what the original was. And that's exactly what happened. The first movie opened to $41 million in October of 2021. And this sequel, Dune Part 2, $81.5 million is the weekend estimate right now. Just $1 million behind what Oppenheimer opened to for Universal last July. Warner is thrilled. It was looking like it wasn't going to hit $80 million, but if you do this breakdown, it made $2 million last Sunday when I saw it in those IMAX nationwide pay preview screenings. Then it did $10 million on Thursday. It did $21.3 million Friday. An impressive $28.8 million yesterday. It was a rainy day in many parts of the country. I think a lot of people wanted to go to the movies, something to do. And today they're looking at another $20.3 million. Dune Part 2 with 81.5. That is excellent. It is not yet the top grossing movie of the year. It's just 1.3 million behind Bob Marley One Love, but still the biggest open of the year so far. It will become the biggest movie of the year in just a day or so, and a huge start for 2024 for Warner Brothers, coming off of Wonka doing really well over the holidays. Wonka still in the top 10 this weekend after, I think, 12 weekends, which is amazing. If you want to send in your questions and your comments, you can do so here. New Too Fast, Two Films podcast episode at toofast2films.com. Mike Sargent and I review Dune Part 2, as well as the live-action animated horror movie Stop Motion. So go to toofast2films.com when you're done watching this LCJ Live episode for our thoughts on Dune Part 2. I liked it a lot. And Stop Motion. 81.5 for Dune. Number 2 is Bob Marley One Love. Bob Marley One Love with $7.4 million. It's at 82.8. This is good. This is good for Paramount. They've got 2 of the 3 biggest movies of the year. They've got Mean Girls and Bob Marley One Love. Mean Girls added a little bit. It's at 72.3 million, I believe. Bob Marley, not a huge drop this weekend. People are still going, older audiences with something to see. So that's doing well. Speaking of a movie that didn't have a huge drop, Ordinary Angels. Not bad. It was a low $6.5 million last weekend. Made another $3.9 million this weekend. It's at 12.6 for Lionsgate. Still not huge. Still not what it could have been. Still not even to the opening weekend of Jesus Revolution from last year, which kicked off with $15.5 million before getting to 52. You know, this is going to struggle to get to 20 million, but not a terrible drop. Maybe it does another 2.5, close to 3 million this coming weekend. Although for adults, there is a new option in Cabrini, which I have seen. I saw it several weeks ago. It's very good. It's from Angel Studios, behind Sound of Freedom. It's the same director as Sound of Freedom. And it's good. A little slow in the first act, but the performances are strong. The impact is strong. The messages, the themes. Cabrini is a long movie. It's about 220, 225, but it's worth your time, and we'll see how that does this coming weekend alongside Kung Fu Panda 4 and the second weekend of Dune Part 2. $3.2 million for Madam Web this weekend, which finally hit $40 million for Sony. Not nearly what it could be doing, but it's a terrible film. So that's what you get when you make a terrible film, is nobody wants to go see it because the impact of the critics is still out there. Critics say it's bad. A lot of audience members are not gonna go. Also $3.2 million this weekend for the new third batch of episodes of The Chosen Season 4. The first few episodes did well. Second three, not quite as much, and we're seeing that here again. $3.2 million for the 3-day, $3.9 million for the 4-day. Okay. I mean, again, it's episodes of a TV show and it's making money. Fine. But opening at number 5 compared to what the other ones opened to in the last few weeks, maybe the out-of-the-gate rush, the need to see and the curiosity to see the first few episodes, clearly stronger than needing to see the rest of the season. But nonetheless, Fathom and this franchise still making money. In 6th this weekend is the movie that just keeps going and going and going, and that's Migration. But Migration's about to run out of gas. It made another $2.5 million this weekend. It's at 123.5, which is excellent. But here comes Kung Fu Panda 4 opening Thursday at 2 o'clock, and that is immediately going to take away all the family money from Migration. But it's all in the same house. It's Universal. So Migration's run will end at close to $125 million, and now here comes Kung Fu Panda 4, which will take over that family audience impact from March 7th all the way until May 22nd or 3rd with the Garfield movie opening for Memorial Day weekend. Yes, there's Luca in between. Yes, there's a couple other smaller animated films, but as far as major ones, and the John Krasinski movie If on May 17, but as far as full major animated movies in theaters for families, Kung Fu Panda 4 is going to have families for 2.5 months, similar to what Migration just had. Scott Stallion, I'm seeing Dune again this week. A lot of people are going to go see it a second time if they've got the time. It's a 2-hour, 46-minute movie, but it's very good. So if you're going to go see it again, that is going to certainly help its box office. Remember, the first Dune made $108 million. It was a simultaneous release on HBO Max and in theaters. A lot of people watched it at home. Some people went to the theater. It was the highest grossing movie of 2021 for Warner Brothers, making $400 million globally. And now with 81.5 already, I would be surprised if this doesn't get to $200 million domestically. It'll try to double. So if it doubles exactly what the first one did, which we're already seeing, that would mean $216 million for Dune Part 2 domestically, which would be strong and an encouragement for a Dune third installment, which I think we're going to get at some point. But I guess Denis Villeneuve is saying he's got other movies he wants to do instead. Miss hearing you on the river, LCJ. Those were fun segments. Thank you, Scott. I'm going to be doing some appearances this week in a bunch of different outlets for Oscar predictions. So look for a lot of outlets, including Tuesday, by the way. New special LCJ Q&A podcast episode with John Roca, the outlaw himself. One of the biggest names in entertainment news and movie reviews online, YouTube, social media. And John and I predict the Oscar winners in 12 categories. And we have a lot of fun with that. So look for that on Tuesday, along with my appearances this week in several outlets, including a couple I cannot name quite yet, but a couple fun ones that are coming for Oscar predictions. Let's wrap up the box office here. In 7th this weekend, Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer with a huge drop. It was $11.6 million last weekend, down to $2.1 million this weekend. Everybody wanted to go last weekend to see Demon Slayer, the latest installment. It is up to $15.7 million. In 8th, Wonka, like I said, keeps making money. Another $1.7 million. It's at $216.8. That's about what I think Dune Part 2 is going to do, unless it has smaller drops than what the first Dune had. Maybe it makes a run at $250. We will see. In 9th, Argyle, $1.4 million. It's at $44. It'll get to $45. Not $50, though, for Universal on a $200 million Universal Apple film. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend is The Beekeeper, which is still in the top 10 into the month of March. It opened in the middle of January. Added $1.1 million. It's at $64.9 for Amazon MGM. Drive Away Dolls in 11th. It added $1 million out of the top 10 after 1 week. It's up to 4.3. Anyone But You added 430,000. It's at 87.8. A few other things I want to mention. American Fiction has now made more money than The Holdovers. When you're looking at Best Picture Oscar nominees, American Fiction is up to $20.6 million for Amazon MGM. The Holdovers at $20.2 million for Focus Features. The Zone of Interest is up to $7.8 million for A24. It's $400,000 behind Beau is Afraid. So Zone of Interest is not yet in A24's top 5 movies of 2023 list. But if people go this week, and maybe it gets another re-release, if it wins at least one Academy Award next Sunday, it could get a theatrical re-release and put it over Beau is Afraid to get onto A24's top 5 movies of 2023 list. Perfect Days, which is up for international feature, and at $480,000, it's at $2.2 million. Problemista, new film with Tilda Swinton, opened in 5 theaters for A24 with a $28,000 per screen average, $141,000. That was supposed to open last year. It's going to expand wide throughout the month of March. And for Searchlight Pictures, All of Us Strangers has now made more money than Theater Camp, both movies with $4 million, but by just a handful of thousands of dollars. All of Us Strangers has made more money than Theater Camp to become the 3rd biggest Searchlight movie of 2023, behind Poor Things, which is up to $33.5 million, and Next Goal Wins, which only made $6.7 million. So All of Us Strangers beats Theater Camp and Chevalier as the 5 big Searchlight movies of 2023. When you look at 2024, which will finally, we've been looking at 2024 movies, but with the Oscars still a week away, we still have to look back on 23. But when you look this weekend, Kung Fu Panda 4, it's going to be a good battle between Kung Fu Panda 4 and Week 2 of Dune Part 2. This is an exciting battle because Kung Fu Panda 3 opened to about $42 million in January 2016. It's been 8 years since the last one. I think a lot of people are interested in this. Families need something new, and I think a lot of families want to go see this right away. They don't want to wait until spring vacation, Easter vacation, which is still a few weeks away. So I think Kung Fu Panda 4 and Dune Part 2, it's going to be a good $45 million battle between the two. And that's going to be great for movie theaters next weekend. One of these could hit $50 million. It could be either one. It just depends on how many people want to go see Dune right away again and how many people want to go see Kung Fu Panda right away. Look for that. I hope Cabrini does well. I don't think it'll have quite the impact of Sound of Freedom, but I hope it does well. I hope people go see it. At-home streaming services, Damsel is a new film with Millie Bobby Brown. That's on Netflix Friday. And on Thursday on Prime Video is a new comedy called Ricky Stenicki, which I will be checking out soon. I've seen some other movies that open on the 15th, Remembering Gene Wilder, new documentary, as well as One Life with Anthony Hopkins, One Life. My thoughts on that are on social media, and I'll be seeing Ricky Stenicki soon. Like I said, Tuesday, Oscar picks with John Roca, and more Oscar predictions analysis throughout the week. Saturday, I'm hosting a cool event honoring Oscar-winning actress Maureen Stapleton. That'll be great. And next Sunday, here on LCJ Live, we'll do Oscar predictions as well in all 23 categories. Get you ready for the Oscars. Remember, this Saturday into next Sunday is Daylight Savings, so you move the time up an hour, and the Oscars is earlier than usual at 7 p.m. Eastern. So we're getting the Oscars early, and with Daylight Savings as a factor. So set your clocks appropriately, and when we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, live for LCJ Live, I'll do my Oscar picks in all 23 categories. But if you want to hear some of my Oscar picks throughout the week, Tuesday with John Roca. Doing some appearances as well. You'll get some of those probably starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, throughout the week, and more of those. And I'll be posting as much as I can across my social media. That's Twitter at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson, YouTube.com/LightsCameraJackson, the website, lights-camera-jackson.com. I've got there on the website in the blog section the best movies that are nominated for at least one Academy Award this year. Check out that blog and where you can watch them. The only movie I couldn't figure out where you can watch it is Godzilla -1. I don't think there's a way, because they took it out of theaters, but it's not on a digital outlet yet. So I don't think there's a way, unfortunately, if you haven't seen that, You can watch it right now, but all the others, you got options. Brandon Heaton, I can't wait too to see Kung Fu Panda 4 this week. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to want to see this, and you'll get my insights with the makers. Producer Rebecca Huntley, co-director Stephanie Mostein, director Mike Mitchell, tomorrow. Great new LCJ Q&A podcast episode on animationscoop.com Q&A. Before we go, I want to mention what I just posted on social media, which is this new article from the New York Times. A friend of mine, Mike Sargent, actually sent it to me. And it's a guest essay, called How Bad Can It Get for Hollywood? And it talks about the strikes and recovering from that this year, and are people just going to wait till 2025? But it emphasizes and kind of restates some of the obvious to us who are movie analysts, but it states to the theater owners and to the studios what they need to know. And here are 3 things that they need to know. Number 1, competition is healthy. And Barbenheimer benefited both movies. So putting 2 big movies up against each other is fine, because they're both probably going to do really well if they're good enough and big enough. I mean, you look at Bob Marley and Madam Web, one did significantly more than the other, but, Madam Web made $40 million, but Bob Marley made double that. But Barbie made double of Oppenheimer, but they both did really well, and to many, both were very good films. Madam Web, not a very good film, but if you have 2 strong films, both will benefit. Competition is healthy. But number 2, you also got to fill every single weekend with at least 1 movie. There are open slots in the rest of this calendar year that have not been filled yet with major releases, and I think part of it is because studios are waiting to see where in the world we all are, and they're very narrow-minded in the fact that they're only looking ahead slightly. We're in March. Studios are looking at April and May. They were just making decisions last week about June with Bad Boys and The Watchers and some other films. So, yes, May 31, I think, needs a big movie. There's a couple little ones, but it needs a major, wide release for May 31, which is after Memorial Day, but it still needs it. So studios have to look at that, but they're not looking quite as far ahead. Yeah, they're planting dates far ahead, but then when they're breaking it all down, they're not looking quite as far ahead as they used to. That started when the theaters were getting back with COVID. You're only looking maybe 75, 90 days in advance, max. You're not looking beyond that until it stares you right in the face. So that's where we're at, but studios need to fill at least 1 major one, every wide release, every single weekend. And the other thing is that you need event films, and that's what we've been saying for a long time. The theatrical experience is an event space. Taylor Swift was the perfect example. You've had other ones. The Chosen, to many, is an event. Some of these other films like Dune and Kung Fu Panda are events, but event programming is what's going to help theaters. Regal Monday Mystery Movies are events, $5, cheaper tickets. Sporting events, concerts, TV shows, live events, live streams, comedy shows, rare movies. The classic movies are even events for some people. So yes, events are what are going to keep theaters alive, along with these big movies. So playing into that would be strong. So it kind of restates the obvious, but it makes interesting points. And that's a new piece from the New York Times that's available on my Twitter at LCJ Reviews. Thank you for watching today's episode of LCJ Live. If I had to make a prediction of what's going to be number 1 next weekend, I think Panda will beat Dune Part 2. I think it will, but I won't be surprised if Dune beats it, or it's going to be very, very close. A tie on Oscar Day would be awesome. That would be a lot of fun. I think families really want to see Kung Fu Panda 4. It's going to do better than people think it's going to do. Don't underestimate the power of Po the Panda. I'll see you next Sunday. We'll do Oscar predictions and talk about the Panda box office. Thanks for being here. A tie? Yeah, I predicted some Oscar ties for years. Maybe a tie or $1 million difference. That would be awesome, says Joey. Yes, it would. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for watching LCJ Live. Take care. Bye-bye.